Kubernetes ships 3 times a year, like a clockwork. But here's the thing. If you're running AWS EKS, Azure AKS, or Red Hat OpenShift, chances are your cluster isn't necessarily on the latest version of Kubernetes API. After digging through release docs from Kubernetes, AWS, Azure, Red Hat, I realized this versioning dance is more complex than it looks. And falling behind can cost you money. Hi, my name is Nick, and in this video, I'll break down the Kubernetes release cycle, show how quickly cloud providers adopt new versions, and what that means for your feature deprecations and security and even your budget. Kubernetes follows a predictable release cycle, 3 minor versions per year, typically in April, August, and December. Each new release brings features, improvements, and sometimes deprecations or breaking changes. Those releases are maintained by the Kubernetes community, a global network of open source contributors, maintainers, and special interest groups who build, test, and document the platform. But here is something many teams overlook. Each version of Kubernetes is only officially supported by the community for 1 year. That includes bug fixes, patch releases, and security updates. After that, the version reaches end of community support, and it means that the open source project stops maintaining it. If you are still running that version beyond its support window, you are either taking the risks yourself or paying your cloud provider or vendor for extended support, sometimes called long-term support or LTS. And that's where costs come in. While community support is free, LTS is not. So while Kubernetes moves fast, your decision to upgrade or not can carry serious implications for your operational risks and budget. Looking back, the release rhythm has been consistent, but just because a version is released by the Kubernetes community does not mean that your cloud provider adopts it right away. Amazon EKS typically supports version several weeks after Kubernetes general availability. For example, Kubernetes version 1.33 was released on April 23rd in 2025. EKS has adopted this version on May 29th. According to Amazon documentation, as of today, EKS retains 4 versions at the time with 4-6 weeks adoption lag. Should you land into long-term support, the pricing increases 6-fold per cluster, and as of time of recording of this video, from 10 cents per hour to 60 cents per hour, or better said, from $74 to $446. Azure AKS supports each version for around a year, so they retain also 4 versions at a time. However, they are taking a bit longer to adopt new versions, approximately 2 months after the upstream Kubernetes release. What about long-term support with AKS? It looks like you can buy additional long-term support on top of community support for 1 year. Same as AWS EKS, if you ask for long-term support, the pricing increases 6-fold for your cluster, from 10 cents to 60 cents. Red Hat OpenShift aligns with Kubernetes upstream versions in around 2-month lag. Interesting that you really need to dig through their documentation to even check what API level of Kubernetes they offer in their releases. For example, OpenShift 4.18 released in February 25 based on version 1.32 of Kubernetes. It is clear to me now that retaining 4 releases is more or less industry standard at this point in time. However, with OpenShift, you get long-term support only on every second version of their platform, something that they call EUS, Extended Update Support Add-on. Unfortunately, they do not post their pricing publicly, and I guess it depends on your infrastructure with them. So what does it all mean for you and your team? Just because you are on managed Kubernetes service does not mean that you are automatically up to date. Falling behind can lead to missed features, compatibility issues between deprecated APIs, and higher support costs since most providers follow the standard one-year Kubernetes community support window. Most importantly, it puts pressure on your team when your version finally does reach the end of life. So what can you actually do to stay ahead of those versioning delays? First, keep an eye on release calendars, both from Kubernetes project and from your cloud provider. Knowing what's coming and when support ends can save you from last-minute scrambles. Second, try to test your workloads early on newer Kubernetes versions, even before your provider rolls them out. Spin up a dev cluster or use kind of minikube locally. That way you can catch breaking changes before they hit your production. Third, use tools like KubeNoTrouble or Pluto to scan your manifests and detect deprecated APIs. These tools can save you hours of debugging down the line. And finally, document your current version and set a clear upgrade schedule. Even a simple internal checklist can go a long way toward keeping your cluster healthy and your costs under control. Kubernetes moves fast, and your cloud provider and your app are constantly playing a catch-up game. But with a bit of planning, you can stay ahead, avoid last-minute surprises, and keep your costs under control. Thank you for watching. Take care.